she's on a list. He was like, oh, that's why. She said, yeah, it's a little more expensive. She said,
okay, we're going to start. So if everybody's in place, all right. If your question wasn't read, it's just a matter of we went through them and we tried to pull out any redundancies because they've addressed a lot of issues tonight. And also we wanted to make sure that these were questions that both candidates could answer. So just keep that in mind as we go through them. I will start with the first one here. And thank you for your questions. We appreciate that. I'll start with you, Investigator York. On the first one here, it says, what are your tools for de-escalating volatile situations regarding domestic violence or with young people?
I'm not sure I fully understand the question. Is that if I'm actually dealing at a scene? Is that what the...
Tools for de-escalating volatile situations, yeah, any tools.
Okay, so I'll take that as I'm at a scene and I'm talking to somebody in that type of situation. Obviously, our presence and dialogue and talking with them. That's how we're able to talk with them, identify ourselves, hopefully calm the situation down and de-escalate the situation at hand. So we obviously have other tools that we have, that we carry on our belt. But I think the primary tools that we typically use is just our presence and dialogue with people, talking with them, reasoning with them to get them to understand why we're there, what we're doing, and how to move forward from it.
Okay, thank you. Same question to you, Sheriff Wolin. What are your tools for de-escalating volatile situations regarding domestic violence or with young people?
Law enforcement in general receives professional communication training to address how they interact with individuals in the public as they handle different situations. As I touched before, we've expanded that to sending staff to CIT training or crisis intervention training to further those skills in de-escalation of those in mental health crisis. And overall is not only talking to the individual, but more importantly is listening to the individual. A lot of times letting the individual then get things off their chest and just being able to listen, take the time to let them kind of just get things out and kind of bring themselves down is also a tool that can be used.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with you, Sheriff Wolin, on this one. It's kind of a long one, but I think they're great questions. Sheriff Wolin, it appears that the department has had some great success with drug arrests. Do you plan to aggressively pursue those successes? And what are some of the things you need to continue to improve the department's efforts? So it appears the department has had some great successes with drug arrests. Do you plan to continue to aggressively pursue those that have been successful? And what are some of the things you need to do to continue to improve those efforts?
Obviously, as we both share that commitment to addressing the drug issue facing our community. Certainly, that involves arresting those involved in that drug activity. Under my tenure, I expanded the canine program to 2 canines, so we have 1 canine assigned to each shift. So that's a resource that we have available to specifically address the drug arrest within the community. Also developing a partnership with the State Patrol to have active State Patrol presence within the community again is another resource that's free to the community. So that's 2 staff members. They're not always in the county. There's other responsibilities as needed by the State Patrol, but that's 2 other tools that we have at our disposal within the community and to actually help us with that drug issue. We have staff that are trained as drug recognition experts, and they also are trained to do other training as far as the impaired driving training, or recognizing the signs of drug impairment. Those trainings have been put on in the school, at the hospital, with staff, to help bring that awareness and that training to the staff so they know what to look for. And so, again, more tools in their toolbox to identify those issues. certainly want to continue that. We want to expand on that. Those I think have been what has led to our success, and certainly back to what I said before, is that community relationship and that bringing that information forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question to you, Investigator York. It appears that the department has had some great success with drug arrests. Do you plan to continue to aggressively pursue those successes, and what are some things you need to continue to improve the department's efforts?
Yes, we have had some great successes in the drug activity within Adams County, but the people or the amount that we've caught is just a drop in the bucket. There is a lot of drugs that flow through this county. There's a lot of drugs that come in and out of here every day, all the time. And like I said before, on a daily basis, we're not keeping up on that information. That information needs to come, comes from the community, comes from citizens. It comes from other resources, from people we arrest and develop informants and the investigative side to all that. One thing I hear going out and about is the businesses. They don't know our officers. Our officers don't stop. They're not approachable. By having the officers out and about and being there, being approachable, we're going to get that information. You guys know your communities. You know your subdivisions. Hey, we got a new house. There's a lot of infrequent traffic in and out of there. That's the kind of tips that we need, because we may already have that address. We already may know something, and that may be extra information for us to pursue that. We need to dedicate staff to this drug problem, and we just don't have that. We're short-staffed, and nothing's been addressed to combat that as far as being understaffed. We can't focus on the drug problem without the proper staffing. With the information that comes in, we need to take that information, act on it quickly with either patrol deputies assigned to drugs or an investigator, and coupled with the canines to go work those couple drug houses, to go work those streets where that infrequent traffic is, or where that frequent traffic is, to make those contacts.
Thank you. Right, start with you again. Investigator York, what knowledge or training do you have regarding substance abuse?
Well, I would say my specific training in that area is I've had Department of Justice, the drug investigator training. I've also had the clandestine meth lab training, which deals with the meth labs. And probably most of the information I get is from the people that I arrest for drugs. And I ask them, why do you do this? I mean, it is such a terrible thing. Why do you do this? What makes you do this? Having those conversations with those people and hearing about why they do it, what drives them to do it, what they do to get that drug, that craving. I can't understand that. I've never done drugs. I can't understand that. It's hard for me to rationalize that when I talk with people. But talking to them is probably more information than I could get from any training, from any instructor, from any classroom setting, is talking with that person. That knowledge will help address the drug problem.
Thank you. Same question to you, Sheriff Woolen. What knowledge or training do you have about substance abuse?
Specific to substance abuse, I've already touched on the drug treatment, or the treatment court, the treatment court. During that process, we attended several trainings specific to the treatment court and developing that program, but during that, we attended several different sessions specific to the addiction and substance abuse issues, and just to try to get a better understanding of that. Also through that, we've had the treatment court up and running for the last year. That interaction with our participants has certainly taught me and our other team members on the treatment court a lot about the impacts of drug addiction and substance abuse, and that quite honestly, just the grip that holds on an individual. And what we're really asking them to do is completely turn their lives upside down and for most of us, obviously, that would just be something, just an easy thing, but really for them, understanding, having that interaction with them and understanding where they're coming from, what their background is, what leads to that drug abuse and that drug addiction, is then certainly enlightening.
Okay, thank you. Start with you on the next one here, Sheriff Wolin. Are you in favor of opening more roads in Adams County for ATV/UTV use, and if not, why?
That's a decision not up to the sheriff. Just say it just like that. My role as a sheriff, again, as we talked about, is public safety. That there's that topic has come up repeatedly, and as I've shared with Colin that have addressed me about it, I say that make sure that you're doing it safely, make sure that you're doing it legally, and that you're doing it in partnership with the sheriff's office and understand what you're going to get. That we don't have, there's some misconception about what we have as far as the staffing and the ability to patrol, the additional, the town will look for that additional responsibility. And with our staffing levels, where they're at, we don't have that to dedicate to that specific area.
Thank you. Investigator York, are you in favor of opening more roads in Adams County for ATV/UTV use, and if not, why?
So yes, again, that is a township municipality decision. However, I will not prevent that from occurring. I've been to a lot of the ATV/UTV groups and talked with them, been at different functions for them, and I think a couple of the people or groups call me pro recreation. Personally, I use them. I've been up northern Wisconsin. I've ridden on the trails. I would use them. I would go from my house to Wood Nickel to have a pizza. I would be in favor of it. As far as the staffing, that's ultimately up to us. That's up to the sheriff's department. If a township has complaints about ATVs burning up the roads or whatever it is, that's us. That's what our job is to do, is to react to it. Just like the drug problem or anything else, it's our job to provide that staffing and not push a deputy onto the township of a increased amount to their tax levy. So I would be in favor for it as much as I can be in the role of the sheriff.
Thank you. And we'll start with you again on this next question. What support staff does the drug court have?
The drug court is something that I've learned about. I have honestly learned about it probably much like you guys. If you've attended a town board meeting and saw Judge Wood and DA Bonnet and Sheriff Wolin present on the drug court. As far as internally, I don't know much about it. I have, I guess, read about it in the newspaper. That was another thing that I did open records request on, wanting to know funding for that. Again, I don't have that for you tonight, so I can't answer that question. I know that it sounds like there's a lot of people up there at the drug court, but I personally, with my work schedule, have not been able to attend one of those drug court treatment court sessions to see the support staff.
Thank you. To you, Sheriff Wolin, same question. What support staff does the drug court have?
One correction. I corrected myself previously. I'm going to correct the question. Sorry. Our court is a hybrid court. Our court is not a drug court. It's a treatment court. So we address both alcohol and drug addiction within the treatment court. With that being said, our team is made up of the judge, the DA, myself, the representative from Health and Human Services, which is Kelly Olson, the department head, the Public Defender's Office, Probation and Parole, a treatment provider from Health and Human Services, and then our treatment court coordinator.
Okay, thank you. To you, Sheriff Wolin, again, what is your opinion of combining city police departments in Rome and Adams with the Sheriff's Department.
During my tenure as sheriff, I've been approached by both municipalities about contracted services to do just that. In working with both the municipalities, providing them the options, it's, again, back to the municipal decision. I can provide them what it would look like if they contracted services with the sheriff's office to provide law enforcement services within those two jurisdictions, and both have chosen to continue their own law enforcement services. We'll certainly work with them and support them in every way that we can. And if that ever, they want to approach that topic again, I'll be glad to discuss that with them and present the options. But ultimately, again, that's a decision to be made by the municipality and what level of service they want to provide to their citizens. Thanks.
Thank you. Investigator York, same question. What is your opinion of combining the city police departments in Rome and Adams with the Sheriff's Department?
Yeah, so ultimately it is up to that municipality to make that decision to want to contract with the sheriff's office. I do know that there have been some talks and there have been some bids, and one of the bids I saw, it said that one of the officers assigned to that municipality would have to be here for 1 year. So if we were to take on the city of Adams, which has 4 officer positions, and the town of Rome, which has 5, I don't think we have 9 officers right now that have at least 1 year of experience. So I don't know if we could fulfill that contractual obligation. With that being said, you know, Rome, we don't know the townships, we don't know the roads. We don't have the medical training and equipment that they have that they can quickly respond to their calls. The city would be slightly different because it's close to the sheriff's office. We would be here, we'd be quick and able to respond to the calls. I think obviously at someday we would get to the staffing levels that we could fulfill those obligations if requested by those municipalities. But ultimately it again goes back to those municipalities.
Thank you. To you, Investigator York, what are your plans for the next 4 years that will improve law enforcement in Adams County?
So to improve law enforcement in Adams County is going to start with our staffing and our environment at the sheriff's office. We both touched on that at the beginning with our staff is the most important part of the sheriff's office. And to be able to bring people here, to make them want to be here, to make them want to stay here, to promote within the department, and maybe even live here. That's going to be the number one goal, and to be personal with the people. Like I talked before, we have a difficult job, and we need to be approachable and personable to each other, and to know that if there's something there that we can talk and communicate and have that relationship.
Thank you. Same question to you, Sheriff Wolin. What are your plans for the next 4 years that will improve law enforcement in Adams County?
I think we both covered staffing. As much as staffing can be covered right now. Beyond that, I would say that we want to certainly identify what the community needs are and what they expect out of the law enforcement, and also to continue and to expand upon the community initiatives for community programming and community engagement. I think again that's important to have a relationship with the community to ensure that we're providing that level of service that they expect, and that it's in areas that they would see that.
Great, thank you. Back to you, Sheriff Wolin. What happens when the meth clinic opens? Will there be more officers, more protection?
I'll correct that question. It is not a methadone clinic. This is a behavioral health and recovery center. They will not be administering methadone at the clinic. They will be using medicated assisted treatment as a fraction of the services that they provide. They're providing wraparound services to individuals. So even if they come in and want to participate in the medicated assisted treatment program, they're going to have to sign on for the other services. They're going to have a caseworker assigned. They're going to have an individual counselor, group counseling, and the other pieces of the treatment program. Their primary focus is going to be on those other treatment programs outside of that medicated assisted treatment. The two medications that they're going to be using are Suboxone and Vivitrol. It's not going to be a methadone clinic. I know that that's a rumor that is bent in the community. So I'm very glad that that was asked here, and hopefully that you can help me in sharing that information within the community. It is not a methadone clinic. So even in that, if they do partake in that medicated assisted treatment, they're not going to just be able to walk in, get their shot, and leave. There's other services that they're going to have to sign on to and participate in order to achieve that long, sustainable sobriety.
Thank you. Same question to you, Investigator York. And I'll just read it as written. What happens when the meth clinic opens? Will it mean more officers, more protection?
Right, and again, when the clinic opens, if there are needs, whatever those may be, even if it is not a methadone clinic, Suboxone clinic, Vivitrol, whatever the needs are, just like any other business or organization that's in our community, if there's needs, it's our job to address them and react to them. Identify them and react to them. That's our job. That's the sheriff's job, to get that information and to direct staff to deal with whatever the problem that may or may not be, no matter what the business is. It could be at the bank or whatever it is. There's going to be increased traffic in the area, and you got to remember that these people are there for a reason, and hopefully it's an extra alternative to help them to fight the problem. So again, identify the staffing needs and direct them.
Thank you. Last question from those written. To you, Investigator York, what are your personal experiences of extreme vandalism and restitution and conviction?
Well, my personal experience of, I guess I've investigated different criminal damage to property type cases. So over the years, I guess recently as an investigator, I haven't had the opportunity to work on those cases. Vandalism cases, typically a misdemeanor, and I would work on more serious cases. So the part of eviction is a civil part. We are going to be there to help as a civil standby, we call it. So we kind of just go there and keep the peace, make sure nothing happens and nothing gets out of line. But the eviction process would be civil. And as far as restitution, there's a lot of cases that the court orders restitution, and that's court ordered restitution a lot of times, and the clerk of court would give payment plans and things like that based on the court case.
Thank you. Same question to you, Sheriff Wolin. What are your personal experiences of extreme vandalism and restitution and conviction? Conviction.
Okay. My personal experience again has been I've been handling property crime for some time since I've been a sheriff. What I have seen is obviously the citizens that come to the window for the complaints. I thought it was for evictions, but as far as the convictions with vandalism and restitution as a result thereof, it's like I said, it's part of the process. I think the investigator already kind of covered that. It's the same thing. Like I said, is that the crimes are obviously investigated. It's determined if it's criminal in nature or civil in nature, depending. And then, therefore, if there's a charge that can be made, if the charge is made or an arrest is made and referred, and if they are convicted, they'll order the restitution by the court, then that plan is put in place.
Thank you. And Investigator York, did you want to add anything to the conviction part of that?
No, again, it's simply just part of the process. On our end, law enforcement, we would, and investigate the case, do a report, send them up, and they go through the district attorney's office in the court process, and that's all part of that process work.
Okay, thank you. All right, that wraps up the questions that we gathered up. I will start now with the 3-minute closing statements, really to wrap up, but also give you the opportunity to add any information that you feel wasn't addressed during the forum. And we'll start with you, Sheriff Rowland, with the 3-minute closing.
First, thank you again for everybody attending and hearing what we both had to say tonight. I think that's important, and it speaks a lot to you coming and getting the information to make a decision as you go forward with the election. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys putting on the forum and allowing us to be here tonight. So thank you again. I've had the honor of serving as your sheriff over the last 8 years, and the honor also of serving the community in the last 19 years in the sheriff's office. During that time, I've shown that I have the experience and the skills necessary to continue to grow the sheriff's office in a positive direction. Just as a sheriff, I will continue to look for innovative ways to address the issues that we're facing in our community in the most cost-effective way that I can. Thank you again for your support through the years, not only to myself, but also to the sheriff's office and certainly our staff. Thank you.
I had prepared closing and opening statements days ago. I had to throw those out the window because my situation's changed. I'll touch on that in a second, but for 22 years, I've dedicated myself to this community, to Adams County Sheriff's Office. The citizens and the victims that I work for as an investigator. Again, serious cases. While working full-time, I went back to school about 8 years ago to get my business management degree because I thought that at some point I may want to run for sheriff, and I felt that that was important. I felt that having a bachelor's degree in some type of management was important to operate the sheriff's office. As we heard, in excess of $6 million budget. My education and training with advanced training, death investigations, internet crimes against children, drug investigations, financial crimes, has given me the knowledge and the work experience to direct the Sheriff's Department. To take those cases, to take the investigations and point them in the right direction. One of the things that I hear a lot about is the treatment court. And the treatment court is certainly an option, an alternative, a part of the drug problem. But to get them into treatment court, we first have to arrest them. They can't go in treatment court unless they're convicted. We need to be more proactive with the drugs investigations in our community. We need to dictate and direct the staff on those investigations. And it needs to be more timely than they are. The drug information becomes stale, we call it. If it's old, we can't use it. It has to be ongoing and happening on a daily basis. Being proactive with that, with what I opened up tonight about, all I can ask of you is don't convict me before this is all out. Thank you.
Thank you both for that. Thank you, everybody, so much. In my closing, I just want to thank everybody for having me as the moderator. It truly has been my pleasure to serve in this capacity. I think it was a great evening. Your opportunity to hear from both candidates was a wonderful opportunity. Thank all of you for coming. And I think, it was just a great opportunity to hear from both parties on various topics. Again, any questions not addressed on the cards, the Lions group does have an announcement in a little bit about another date where there will be an opportunity for community to interact a little bit more, so I'll let you do that before everybody leaves. And then I will just turn it over to Laura for any closing remarks that you might have.
Good job. As you know, being the director of the Adams County Chamber of Commerce and Tourism, we take the community, our businesses, our members very important, and we appreciate all of you coming out tonight and listening to the two candidates, and good luck in your
The Adams Friendship Lions Club is going to be hosting another forum for the two sheriff's candidates. While the format and the guidelines are going to be very similar to this, all of the questions are going to come from citizens. So we're still kind of working on it, but I would encourage you to get me any questions ahead of time. But we will also take questions during the event, prior to the event, follow-up questions as we're going along. So there will be a committee of Lions members that will look over those questions as these two ladies did. But if you could get the questions to me prior, it would just give us more time to look at them. So we will get some more information out. I'll post my email address and just keep checking Facebook and that type of thing.
What date?
Oh, good question. October 22nd, and it'll be from 6 to 8, and it's going to be at Mountain View Golf Course.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Who are you?
A Lions Club member. I'm Marilyn Rogers. Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Okay, thank you again, everybody, for coming. I know we had some reporters in the room, too, so thank you for coming. Best of luck to both of you in your race, and have a wonderful evening.
Yes, I will.